I was not surprised to see Judge Coughenour sort of dismiss the absurdity of the order and the absurdity of the president's action.
President Trump's executive order that would effectively end birthright citizenship is now on hold. A federal judge in Seattle issued a temporary restraining order this morning in the Western District of Washington. Thanks for joining us for King 5 News at 5. I'm Joyce Taylor. King 5's Bridget Chavez was in the courtroom and joins us live with today's developments. Bridget.
Joyce, the judge this morning called the executive order by the president blatantly unconstitutional shortly after he granted that temporary restraining order. So what that means is for the next 14 days, the government cannot enforce that executive order.
A U.S. district judge in Washington has dealt a major blow to President Trump's immigration agenda.
This is step one, but to hear the judge from the bench say that in his 40 years as a judge, he has never seen something so blatantly unconstitutional sets the tone for the seriousness of this effort.
Washington State Attorney General Nick Brown, alongside AGs in Oregon, Arizona, and Illinois, filed a lawsuit against the Trump administration's executive order that aims to end birthright citizenship. Senior U.S. District Judge John Coughenour heard arguments regarding a potential temporary restraining order. Washington State's assistant AG said the restraining order was warranted because the president's executive order would immediately require states to revamp healthcare and benefit systems over citizenship status.
This is about people who the president of the United States was trying to deny their lawful right to be citizens. And babies are being born today, tomorrow, every day, all across this country. And so we had to act now to provide back to the status quo, back what has been the law of the land for generations, that you are an American citizen if you were born on American soil, period. Nothing that the president can do will change that.
Justice Department lawyers argued that there was no imminent harm to the states and asked the judge to allow them to come back in a couple of weeks to argue the merits of the case. The judge told them this was their chance. At times, Judge Coughenour appeared frustrated, telling Justice Department lawyer Brett Shoemate, quote, "I have difficulty understanding how a member of the bar could say unequivocally that this is a constitutional order. It just boggles my mind."
I was not surprised to see Judge Coughenour sort of dismiss the absurdity of the order and the absurdity of the president's action.
Birthright.
President Trump responded to the ruling, taking aim at Judge Coughenour.
Obviously, we'll appeal it. They put it before a certain judge in Seattle, I guess, right? And there's no surprises with that judge.
And it is worth noting that Judge Coughenour was appointed back in 1981 by President Ronald Reagan. And today, congressional Republicans introduced the Birthright Citizenship Act, and that's similar to President Trump's executive order that would ultimately end birthright citizenship. Joyce?
So, Bridget, regardless of whether this is an executive order or a new law, wouldn't it come down to actually having to amend the Constitution?
Yes, Joyce, it ultimately would, and that's a long process. So it would have to be proposed by supermajorities in the House and the Senate, or a convention called by 34 state legislatures, and then ultimately would have to be approved by 38 state legislatures.
Reporting live in Seattle, Bridget Chavez, thank you. So this is just part of President Trump's crackdown on immigration. This is new video that you're seeing right now of what appears to be ICE raids happening in Boston. In some cases, agents were seen entering homes. Through a new Trump policy, federal agents are now allowed to make arrests in sensitive areas like schools and churches. Under the Biden administration, several more steps were involved. The Trump administration has also suspended America's refugee resettlement program. That means that refugees who were already approved to come to the United States no longer can. Well, Washington schools are taking action to protect immigrant students. Today, Superintendent Chris Rakedahl released the guidance schools have in place. It reminds schools of the state law prohibiting schools from sharing students' information with immigration authorities. There's also a roadmap for schools to follow if authorities visit campus, outlining what they can and cannot share. Rakedahl reiterated that they will do everything they can to protect students, no matter their citizenship status.